Politics is a very interesting game. And politics is also a very dirty game. And I've been asking myself one major question of late. Is there a chance that former President Uhuru Kenyatta was actually sabotaged by his own political party, Jubilee Party, after Raila Odinga decided to nominate Karua as the running mate? Because I've been following the reaction from former allies of Raila Odinga from the larger Mount Kenya region, the likes of Jeremiah Kioni, and something is convincing me that this group were never happy by the fact that Raila Odinga nominated Karua as the running mate. Which begs the question, and I need your honest answer on this also. Assuming Raila Odinga had nominated someone else as the running mate, let's say Peter Munya, or let's say Sabina Chege, do you think the results would have been different? For me, something tells me that the results would have been different. Because Karua failed. And for me, I think it was a clear act of sabotage by Mount Kenya leaders, especially the ones from Jubilee Party. So in this video, I want to try and explain to you guys why I personally believe that President Uhuru Kenyatta was sabotaged by his own political party, Jubilee Party, because of the fact that he ended up nominating Karua, who was a member of NAK Kenya and not Jubilee. Before we do that, in case you're watching the channel for the first time, please just take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without the support, this channel cannot be where it is now. Let us get back to the main issue and take the road back to August. Raila Odinga got 13% of the votes from the larger Mount Kenya region. That was an improvement from previously he used to get like 1 to 2%. But the projection of Azimio was that they were going to get 40%. And of course, the general agreement is that 40% was way ambitious. But getting 30% or even 20% from the mountain was not a big deal if they had planned themselves well. As a matter of fact, personally, I was shocked by the results, because Raila Odinga used to get good reception from the mountain. And even those who are in Jubilee or Azimio from the mountain strongly believes that the figures Raila Odinga got were not what they got. And of course, Raila Odinga is being blamed for two things. Number one, failure to invest on agents. And because he failed to invest on agents, his votes were actually compromised in the mountain. And he's also being accused of failure to mobilize his backyard of Nyanza, that around 700,000 voters did not turn up to vote in Nyanza, and that if those voters had turned up, probably with the 13% from the mountain, Raila Odinga would be the president of the Republic of Kenya. But let us forget about all those stories. Let us focus primarily on the 13% Jubilee Party delivered to Raila Odinga in Mount Kenya. If you look at the Jubilee performance in places like Marsabit, Northeastern, perfect. But why not Mount Kenya? Azimio failed terribly in Mount Kenya. Why? Was Uhuru Kenyatta that unpopular? Even if Uhuru Kenyatta was that unpopular, with the support of the deep state, I'm certain probably the figures would have hit even 20%. But now, let us just figure out why Jubilee probably sabotaged Raila Odinga. Number one, choice of running mate. You know, the handshake was between Uhuru Kenyatta, the Jubilee Party leader, and Raila Odinga, the ODM Party leader. So which means any agreement ought to have been between those two people and the two parties, ODM and Jubilee. When Raila Odinga wanted to name his cabinet, he settled on a few names. There was Peter Munya, there was Peter Kenneth, there was Bina Chege, there was, who else? There was Martha Karua. I think there were 5 people, if I'm not wrong. My preference always remained Peter Munya. But ODM supporters preferred, actually they preferred Sabina Chege. But Raila Odinga ended up picking Martha Karua. The challenge is that Martha Karua was not a member of Jubilee Party. Martha Karua had her own political party called NAK Kenya. In fact, the moment Martha Karua was nominated, NAK Kenya tried to emerge at the expense of Jubilee. So because these people were in Jubilee, I strongly believe that they were not happy that Raila Odinga decided to overlook them while he was expecting their support. That's why the other day they were telling Raila Odinga that, you know, we promised to deliver 40, but one thing you did, you failed to give us. You failed to give us the right running mate from our party. So I think because Raila Odinga opted for Martha Karua, those in Jubilee Party were not very happy. Assuming Raila Odinga became the president today, Martha Karua the deputy president, which parties would be now for Mount Kenya? Was it going to be Jubilee or NAK Kenya? So that's one reason why they sabotaged President Uhuru Kenyatta. Number 2, I think it had everything to do with the involvement of Jubilee as a party in the campaigns. During the campaigns, because I was not really involved in it, but I knew so many people, there were a lot of complaints that Raila Odinga's campaign was being managed by people other than the parties. ODM as a political party are claiming that they were never involved per se as ODM as a political party. Jubilee are also saying that they were never involved in the campaign as Jubilee. So Raila Odinga ended up creating several secretariats. And those secretariats didn't really have the inputs of the 2 political parties. So Jubilee were not happy that they were really not involved as a party in the campaigns. They would only be told, we are going to Nyeri, this is how we are going to do it. That's it. Even the local party officials were never involved. So because the party was not involved much in the campaigns, I think they decided, let's sabotage. And that's why a story is told that on just a few days before the elections, I think a day to the election, when the Secretariat had decided to come up with a list of agents, Jubilee Party raised objections to that list because they didn't know where the list came from. So by the time ODM and Azimio tried to correct the omission, because Jubilee now insisted on their names, by the time they realized, it was late. And that's why most people went as agents for Raila Odinga in polling stations, yet they could not be allowed because they didn't have letters. Jubilee insisted that they were the ones to be agents. So I want to think that it had everything to do with the campaigns. Even campaign money, campaigns, there are people who benefit a lot from campaigns. So probably there are people who wanted to lock them out so that they don't benefit. So that's number 2. Number 3, why they sabotaged Uhuru Kenyatta was that it was easy for William Ruto to infiltrate Raila Odinga through Jubilee. Because ODM was a bit tricky for them, because ODM, at least they've been there. For Jubilee, they were not sure whether this person A has joined Ruto or is still with Uhuru Kenyatta. So it was easy to penetrate. And because of infiltration, Uhuru Kenyatta ended up being sabotaged without knowing, because William Ruto decided to plant his people right in the middle of Uhuru Kenyatta's own party, Jubilee Party. So they would meet as Jubilee, they would strategize, and everything will then be given to Ruto. Ruto would then come up with a strategy. So during the next meeting, someone would suggest that. In fact, someone was telling me that what shocked them was the fact that some of the individuals who used to attend high-level meetings ended up being in Kenya Kwanza just before the elections. Number 4 is the deep state. I think this time around, the deep state failed big time. I think they were not well coordinated, or they were not very sure. And just like I've been explaining here, we had 4 types or 4 groups within the deep state. There was the first group which believed very strongly that for Uhuru Kenyatta to defeat Ruto, he only needed Raila Odinga. And with Raila Odinga having his solid support base, they only needed to add a few votes to Raila Odinga. Then there was the group which believed that they needed a compromise candidate, that a compromise candidate would easily defeat Ruto with the support of Uhuru and Ruto. And they really wanted Musalia Mudavadi as that compromise candidate. And that's why when Mudavadi was not nominated, or when he saw that he was not to be nominated, he easily shifted camp to the other side. Then there was another group which believed very strongly that they only needed one of them to be the president or presidential candidate. So they were looking at Matiang'i and Kagwe ticket. And because of those divisions, deep state could not facilitate, they could not advise the president well, because there were people who were then sympathetic to Ruto. And you know, these deep states, some of them were members of Jubilee, high level. So the way the deep state was divided, that's the same way Jubilee party was also divided. And because of those divisions, especially in the deep state, nobody would really tell the president the true picture. And lastly, there was the Kajiado group, the group which used to meet at Francis Atwoli's house. This group is also one of the reasons why Jubilee as a political party sabotaged Raila Odinga. You know, they viewed this group as a special group. They were never members of Jubilee. You know, they would just meet there. Yeah, you would see the Secretary General of Jubilee there. You would see the Vice Chair Jubilee there. You would see Joho. Sometimes you would see Orengo. You would see Jonette at Francis Atwoli's house in Kajiado. So the party itself, as a political party, was not very happy, because they were like, why are these people taking roles which we are supposed to take? So I think next time Raila Odinga is planning to run, or is even planning to support someone else, they must realize that for you to win, you need to have a strong political party. And you must ensure that that party is entrenched up to the grassroots with very proper structures, so that if you want to communicate something, you just tell person A, the information will reach down easily. So the Kajiado group was not viewed in good light. They had so many enemies within the party, and that's why they decided, okay, because of this group, we are going to sabotage Jubilee, so that you can see where you guys are going to go to. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Thank you guys. In case you're watching the channel for the first time again, take a second to press that thumbs up button. Bye-bye.